How's my mustache look? Okay.
There you go. Yeah, it looks great.
Good.
I can't even curl mine, so there you go.
It's training. That's all it
Is
is.
it? Yeah, I believe
Takes
it.
3 months. It takes 3 months to train your moustache, and it'll automatically go there. But you have to keep doing it.
All right. Hello, everybody. It's Jake from the Batfeed, and I'm here again with Russell. And we are here to talk to you guys about an exciting new thing. You guys are already familiar with the book, Gotham 1919 to 1939, by the Giant Panda King. And there's an
Did you
exciting.
have to look? Did you have to look to say GiantPandaKing then?
No, I didn't. That's just my ADHD brain.
Okay.
But you've got an exciting new venture coming out in kind of in the same universe, Gotham Follies. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the people who've been following our socials probably may have seen this. It's kind of come full circle a little bit because I don't know how many people are aware, but I usually, in order when I start off these things, I don't know the best way to kind of present them. So I present usually a stage show, or I do a film kind of component, or I do a book, and depending on where the story takes me and what the universe is, that's the thing we lean into. And on this, the book was the big thing. But we did do a version of the show that's even mentioned in the back of the book, where we say it's part of the universe, where we say the Batman Follies of 1929. So if you look at the back of the book, I think it's actually in the epilogue area. I think I've got it here because funnily enough, this is the first time I've actually had a copy of the book in years because we've gone back to print. So you can see it there.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can see it right there.
got it there too.
But that's the original poster we used when we first did it. And that was at my little venue in Sydney. If you type it in online, like Batman Follies of 1929, now that was a straight up love letter to like vaudeville, as if like these characters were in the 1920s and all that kind of stuff. And it was a cool idea. But they weren't meant to be the real characters, they were meant to be performers playing the characters, and then the book was meant to be the real thing, and then the comics were based on what actually happened in the book, and the show was based on. So it was like this thing where the book was the real life thing, and every other media was kind of based on the real life events, and that everyone has their interpretations. But that was fun. I only did it a couple of times because it was a pretty hard concept to sell. Like I'm known for my burlesque pop culture shows like The Empire Strikes Back and a few things like that, and that's a lot easier to sell because there's a lot of titillation in the marketing, and even though it's a funny show, comedy at heart, it still has that burlesque element, which is a very easy thing to sell, like Star Wars striptease, where like, a very high concept, multi-format storytelling device over a variety show and a book what reads like a documentary and all these kind of things isn't always the easiest thing to sell to the mass audience, which is kind of what I'd need to do, the scale I want to do with this show. So I never thought I'd get another crack at the another bite at the apple, so to speak, with this show. And when I've had a bit of success with The Empire Strikes Back. I'm no longer with that show. I've handed that over to some American-based producers and everything. So I haven't been with that show for about a year, but that's given me time to kind of figure out what I want to do next. And I was going to do something completely original and get away from the whole Batman thing because I've been working on the sequels to the book, which I will touch on because I know everyone keeps asking about those. Just guys like, with the first book, it was made in a bubble. No one knew I was making it. I spent 10 years making it, and all the things that you guys love about it, it took time, I am rushing these books out, but it'll probably be a 3-year kind of cycle of making them, which is a lot faster than my last 10-year period. But the good news is I'm already 2 years into it. You know what I mean? So I've got about another year to go before we drop the first book, hopefully. They've been written, things have been, people have been cast, things have been started to get made and everything. But these are big endeavors, and GiantPandaKing's just me now. It's just me. I'm the GiantPandaKing. So I can only do so much. And when things start taking off, I have to kind of lean into them because, not everything makes money. Like, I think it was like 3 years before I saw any money come in for the Gotham books. I just had them sitting there, So I kind of have to build up an audience. So for these books to actually have a larger audience, because I want to go really big with them. It's one thing doing Batman. It's another thing doing Superman and Wonder Woman. It's a lot more expensive. And also I'm going to be very going against AI a lot. Like in the time of me making that first book, there's been a lot of like, what if these characters existed in the 60s? What if these characters existed in that? And I've got to go further than that. I've got to kind of go to a point of such realism that I can't use AI at all. You know, I've got to double down and just go crazy with it. So it's going to take time, it's going to take money, and I've got to make sure that I have the biggest audience possible. And a way I could kind of, you know, shoot two birds with one stone was that my show, I needed to bring another show to the US, you know? And originally, the follow-up show I was going to do to my Star Wars one in LA was called Marveled by Night. And it's my parody Marvel show, not the movies, but the actual comic book Marvel comics set in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And the best thing is we play with all the characters. But that was too big and too expensive because that was crazy. So I'm still planning on doing that, but I got to do something smaller. And I thought, oh yeah, this show I've done before. I'll just add a couple of little bits and pieces and, you know, upscale it a bit. And then, you know me, I can't just do the little things. I have to kind of commit to big fun concepts. So I rewrote the show, recreated every act from scratch, tied it a little bit more with the book. So let me just kind of tell you what the show is first, and then we can kind of go into a bit more, because it's a little bit hard for me to start. I'm all over the place. I'm writing production mode at the moment, like building props, and I just got back from LA where we did, you know, two and a half weeks of workshops with the performers, working on the routines and all that kind of stuff. So basically, the show itself is what you call a review show. Now, a review show, this used to be the most popular form of entertainment in America for like over 100 years. But no one does it anymore. You know, if they do, it's like a shadow. It's in name only. You know, it's a shadow of a swarm itself. So a review show consists of three main kind of genres, which is burlesque, vaudeville, follies, or like vanity style shows, like showgirl shows. Now, for me, I grew up watching things in movies where they showcased all this stuff. So, you know, you look at like something Singing in the Rain. There's a sequence where Gene Kelly is singing and dancing on stage, and he's doing it in front of all these like women, and all the women are dressed in like scantily clad outfits, and he goes on dressed as like this clown, and it says burlesque, and he's singing this song as he goes on, and then he does a good job. So then he goes out and says same thing, same girls, but they're in these American flag cute outfits, and he's in like a striped jacket with a bowler hat, and it says vaudeville, and he's singing the exact same song. And then he comes out and it says Ziegfeld Follies, and he's in a tuxedo, and all these girls are in fans showgirl outfits. Same song. And that kind of illustrates that a lot of the entertainment was the same. It was just tailored to the audience, you know, it was presented to. But there's a huge market for this. People played around the whole of the country. And the big thing is, the why they called it review is because the way they kept getting people in was they had to kind of monetize what was in the media or pop culture or famous things that were happening at the time. So a few examples would be like where you see things like King Kong, the original King Kong. What's the thing they do when they bring King Kong to New York? They put him on Broadway. This is the only way they know how to monetize, you know? And then they did it also with things like the guy who killed Jesse James. You know, what's his name? Ford, something's Ford. I forget his name. Anyway, but he didn't know how to monetize. When he killed Jesse James, he was the most famous man in America, Jesse James at the time, or one of them. You know, he was this rock and roll outlaw. And when he killed him, his fame then got transferred to his murderers at the same time. But what could he do with that? You know, so he went on and performed it for like almost 2 years. He performed reenacting the murder of Jesse James every night on stage. And he'd be like, at this point, I saw this scoundrel. He had his back towards me. I got my trusty gun. And then his brother, who was also there at the time, who was involved in the killing, he played Jesse's role. So that's how they got paid, you know? Yeah. And so it's really weird, like, thing. It's called a review format. And a review these days, you know, you probably think like Magic Mike shows like a review. Like, there's a little bit more, you know, cheesiness to it. But back then, it was taking things out of popular culture. So this is what we're doing with this show. It's like the same way I lent into the book as the format with the documentary, using history as the context. I'm using showbiz as the context for this. Still history, though. So even though these characters aren't necessarily from the 1920s and 30s, the show is set in that period. But the only person who will play themselves from the book is the Joker, because he's the type of person who would. And I'm actually bringing Anthony, as long as his visa gets approved, to the US to play the Joker live on stage, and that's the connection, and there's also things like we're not going to have an MC or anything, so it's not going to be like it's going to be more of the theater show where it's a bit more structured. But instead of the MC, we're going to have this storytelling mechanism where we're going to be having like a documentary kind of and like clips and newsreels and things playing in between the acts, which kind of set it up. But they're telling the story from the perspective of the book, and then the people on stage kind of bring it to life, like if it was like the kind of Bugsby Berkeley style, old MGM style studio, golden age of Hollywood kind of dance numbers and set pieces and things like that. But I didn't want this to feel like a tribute show. I don't want to feel like we're just putting on just a straight up like tribute to the 1930s and everything. So it's our interpretation of the 20s and 30s. You know what I mean? Like it gives you everything aesthetically that you want, but it's also got some contemporary elements in there. Like it's still giving you from an audience, like, we've all grown up on much more progressive entertainment and edgy entertainment and music and everything. So I've got to kind of lean into that if I want to give people a genuine experience. So when I say genuine experience, I mean, if you go and see Elvis in Vegas, it might look like Elvis, it might sound like Elvis, and it might even smell like Elvis. But it ain't going to be Elvis. It's not going to feel like those teenagers when they first saw them when they were, kids, and that excitement, that sexual attraction, that way it made you feel. That was a new experience. It was an exciting experience. You can't go and get that by watching a tribute show. You can only get that by subverting expectations, but yet still delivering on what the concept is. So for me, creating this show is it's a tribute to the book, but it's also a new thing, what leans into what it is also. But like, I hope that kind of makes sense. So like we're borrowing from the past by creating something for the future. Like, I just made that up. That sounds fucking awesome. So you can write that down. But essentially, what we're trying to do is trying to do something new, but using aesthetics and everything from the past. Now, there's going to be still heaps to tie to the book. Like, so just to give you a bit of an insight, we're recreating either the Iceberg Lounge or the Monarch Theatre on the rooftop. Okay. So you can go there for a drink before the show. And then in the foyer of the theatre, we're actually creating like a small version of it, but like a natural history museum where I'm going to have props and artifacts and stuff from the book, costumes from the book. And they'll be on display. And they'll be set like that's a real historical kind of installation from the book. And then we reinterpret it on stage, But it's not going to be one for one because it's someone's idea of what a stage version of the book would look like. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a little bit everywhere, but it's also very theatrical. It's not as grounded. It's a bit more fantastic, and we still lean into like showbiz, as our main kind of source for that period. But the whole thing. We're also a lot of modern music, but done in the 1930s old school big band style. Mm-hmm. Now, originally we were going to have a live band doing all the music live, like an 8-piece band.
Gotcha.
But our budget's kind of blown out a bit, so I had to kind of cut those guys out. If this works and this first run's successful, we want to bring this back once a year, and each time I'll be adding stuff to it. So we want to make this like every 12 to 18 months, comes back for 3 months or so. Yeah. And like kind of build on it. But this is meant to be like a really sexy show. Anyway, you can see the differences.
Oh yeah.
They're the same kind of characters and stuff, but they're a lot more sexy, but not sexual. You know what I mean? Like it's meant to be fun, sexy. It's meant to be dark. The kind of elevator pitch I give to everybody, it's like I go to them. I go, it's if H.R. Giger, Guillermo del Toro, and Alexander McQueen got given a brief to put on a showgirl show in the 1930s based on Batman, and the Cramps and Prince did the music.
Yep.
That's the brief I'm going with. So super fun, super sexy, and like it's meant to be different. Like I'll let you in on a little secret. Yeah. We have a Batmobile. Did I tell you that? I think I even told you that because you must have told you that.
You might have said it behind the scenes. Yeah, because I was like, you have the one in the book, which is like this is totally not what it is, but like the Hot Wheels version. That's like the model that you shot photos of for the
mini shop.
And then
And Hot Wheels, come on, that model was a pristine model. Cost a lot of money. But
yeah,
the new one,
I'm excited.
the new one, I really wanted to lean into. Like, this show has a very fashion kind of vibe to it as well.
Yeah.
You know, like Catwoman's vibe is all based on like red bottom shoes, like those stilettos with like red heels on them. And all her sets like that. Like, she's got, I don't want to wreck too much, but I'm going a bit crazy with like the costumes, the props and everything. And I want to make the best version of Harley you've ever seen, you know, because no one's ever nailed her live action look before, the classic look. And I'm making it my duty to do that. And, you know, like, the whole thing is like, I'm bringing back a lot, man. Like, you know, the guy plays Alfred in the book. I tracked him down. I haven't shot with him in 12 years, you know? And he was old then. And I thought, oh, there's no way he's going to be alive. And he's still alive. So I'm going to shoot with him in about 2 weeks' time. And he's going to be one of the main people talking in the videos. Like, it'll be Alfred on his deathbed. So it's actually, the show's a continuation of the book.
Great. That's cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I keep saying. Like, all these things work in tandem with other things. Now, you can go and watch it. Like, so all those guys who go, can I bring my girlfriend? Yes, they're going to enjoy it for what the show is. It's going to be an entertaining show. It'll be very accessible and a surface level kind of thing. But then for those people who are into the book or into Batman, you'll be able to go so deep into the lore. And it just keeps adding and adding and adding. And head to our Instagram as well. I'm trying to upload every day. We're doing casting announcements at the moment. Got an amazing cast. We've got like a world-class cast for this one. I have to tell you, like, we're doing this thing of the month. We're playing at the Montalban Theatre. And for those who are curious, is it going to bring it to Seattle, bring it to New York? I've got no plans to travel at this stage. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm more interested in building these shows at this theatre, what I can build a relationship with. And then they just kind of play on rotation. You know, they come back every 12 to 18 months for limited engagement. And it makes it special, you know, it makes it kind of this thing where you can only see it at this venue, and this venue is going above and beyond. They're putting their money where their mouth is. They're helping us. I didn't think I'd ever get a venue to support me the way this venue has. So I'm pretty ecstatic with Gil at the Montalban there and Lionel. The Ricardo Montalban Theatre is where we're playing at. And we're doing 6 weeks at the moment. Depending on ticket sales, we might extend. Official opening night is the 1st of June. And we kind of want to run throughout the summer. Now, anyone who's bought any of my products before or seen one of my shows or seen any of my films, they know I am known for going overboard with details. This is exactly the same. You know, so if you like any of my stuff, you're going to love this. And for me, I need to do something like this. I needed to kind of put a lot of these loose ideas I still had for that book, what I couldn't really do in the book, down. And the best thing is this is going to allow me to have the funds and everything to just go straight in and shoot the 2 new books back to back, you know? So be aware that this is the schedule of what we're looking at. This summer, I'll be doing this show. While I'm doing that, I'm finishing off my Ghostbusters book. So hopefully that'll be out by the end of the year, or at least mostly. We've got our film, what we're trying to wrap up at the moment. This is dragging on because films are fucking expensive. But we are going to try and have that done by midsummer. And now once all that stuff's done, my full focus then is moving over to creating the 2 new books of Themyscira and Metropolis. Now, I do want everybody that is much larger idea what we're working on. Like, so we're going to be coming out with like the Artifacts box. The new books I'll be re-releasing a new version of Gotham, which will have probably an extra 50 to 100 pages. Now, and I'll have a different cover as well, so everyone can tell the difference between the versions. And the only reason is because if you've got one of the other versions, they stand alone on their own. Like, if you got the first original version, which was only 500 copies made, that's just straight up grounded, realistic world kind of thing. The version what most people have, which is the one that's over your shoulder, that kind of introduces you to a larger world, but you can still just kind of go with it. The next version it's not anything different. It's just got more stories in it. That's all. It's more characters, more things. Not saying they're not in the other books. It's just saying that this book is the updated version, and it's just going to tie into the other books of Themyscira and Metropolis. Now, the way we're going to release it is, so I've printed up the latest Gothams. We've just put up a whole bunch for to be available at the show. Yeah, anyone coming to the show, good news. The book will be $55 to $60.
That's a steal.
Which is much cheaper. It's much cheaper than what I have to do on my website because I'm buying in bulk, so I can get it made for a bit cheaper. So I put those savings onto you guys.
Yeah, so if
I'm not
you
making
check it out, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, like I mainly want to get in people's hands who haven't got it yet, you know.
Sure.
And so we're printing up a whole bunch, but after they printed, they'll be the last of this version of Gotham. Like we'll be printing up new versions of Gotham after but they won't be available probably for another 1.5 to 2 years. Just be aware of that, because what we're going to be dropping first is Themyscira, and then probably 12 months later Metropolis, and then 6 to 12 months later Gotham 3rd edition. Now these are going to be called a new version, by the way. They're going to be the Wheel of the Collection, essentially. Yeah. Now those who don't know who that is, I think I've mentioned it to you in the past. Yeah. It's based on the gentleman who started DC Comics and kind of invented the comic book format, who got pushed out of his company, had it stolen off him about 1.5 years before they created Superman. You know, now I'm not saying he's like, you know, I just think that's a little bit fucked, his story. Don't get me wrong, I'm not defending him. He's got plenty of people who think he wasn't the nicest guy as well. But it's important that we acknowledge this history of, you know, these aren't big corporations who make this stuff. Unlike today, where all the films and everything make, you know, all the souls being taken out of this shit. But back then, there's a bunch of Jewish guys in there in like basements and apartments and stuff, garages, making this stuff on the East Coast, you know, and they created the American kind of legends and myths and folklore, you know. So I want to acknowledge that. I want to kind of use that as a way to kind of bind these stories together. And everyone keeps saying, after that, can you do like Atlantis or blah, 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 blah? I'm like, you will not need another book. This is going to be close to 1,000 pages over the 3 books. And I'll be doing, I think there's like 1,300 characters or something like that we're doing. It's kind of ridiculous. But I'm acknowledging everything in those books.
Yeah, and that's an important thing I want to note too, because I get a lot of comments all the time that are like, what about this character? What about this character? And I'm like, you'll probably see them in somewhere in the other 2 books. And I've gotten some kickback on that even. And they're like, well, that doesn't make sense because this character belongs in Gotham and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you just got to wait. You just got to wait.
It does make sense once you read it, guys. Like, trust me, I've made it. It's almost sent me crazy. I think I don't know if I told you when I was like getting obsessed with the number 7. Yeah. I was seeing it everywhere. I'm like, there's so many 7s in the D. Ah! So yeah, I had a bit of a mental breakdown during the writing process because, you know, I was very busy at this time as well. Sure. But you know, which didn't help. But like, I kind of went through the other side and like really pushed myself to make it all make sense from like a crazy point of view. And I'm pretty proud of how I've kind of tied it all together. And I just don't want it to go to waste, you know. We will be doing something really cool though. So basically, the concept of the books, the collection, the Wheel collection, is that me as the writer of the book basically won this trunk, like an old kind of big traveling trunk, like steamer trunk, what you know, from like the 20s and stuff we used to go traveling with. Big trunk, and when you open it, when I won an auction, but I didn't know what was inside. And when I opened up, it was all this research, you know, from different places and all this kind of stuff. But it tells all the stories, and I present it, and I'm like, I don't know where this stuff came from. I don't know what's real and what's not. You know, I've gone through the history books and found out as much as I could. So we still present it in a certain way, you know. But we also, I can't just have photos of Darkseid. I have to explain how I got the photos of Darkseid, you know, because we've lent in this documentary format. So the format is a bigger part of the storytelling mechanism. So that kind of limits how you can do things. So the cool thing is, this trunk I'm actually going to be building for real.
Yeah.
And this trunk's gonna be like a traveling museum, and I'm gonna be touring that around comic conventions and all sorts of stuff when the time comes. And we're probably gonna make a few of them just so we can do it. But you'll be able to have your smaller version of that with the artifacts box. I've mentioned this a bunch of times, but the artifacts box is another way for the story to expand. And like I said, like, you know, the show's an expansion of the story, in a different way. The museum element's going to be a different element. The book is a different element. The trunk's going to be a different element. It just all adds to it, so you can like pull as much as you want out. But basically, I'm doing it so, you know, people can still, like, in 20 years pull something off the shelf and go, holy shit, and like find another Easter egg. You know what I mean? Because I've gone pretty deep, man. Like, but like, it's not gonna be easy. I'm gonna make sure people have to like learn dead languages to translate certain codes in order to find stuff out. But like the artifacts box, for example, that's got like 30 unique items in there. Everything from Batarang. It's got a record with the interview with the Joker from the 30s. Where you have to play on a vinyl, so you have to get a record player to play it. Yeah. What else? You got so much stuff in there. But the whole point of it is it's in this old coffee tin. You know, it's a Jitter's coffee tin, what we've done. So, you know, and it's the actual smells, it's the textures, it's all that's going to add to the storytelling. You know, like, I call it tactile storytelling. I don't know if it's been done before, but it's just what I've kind of coined. But it's based on me finding my grandfather's kind of all his old memorabilia. He kept in old like chocolate tins from like the 1930s and stuff. And when you open it, it's got like manuals from him when he was in the army. He's like old licenses, handwritten letters, his pay slips, you know, patches. I could form this, even though I didn't know my grandfather that well, because he died when I was young. I could form a part of his life, a snapshot into his life through this, but I could also get the smells. You know, I could hear the sounds of things as they like collect together and whatnot, you know. And that kind of way of you filling in the gaps is so much more powerful when you're engaging all your senses, you know, touch, smell, sound. So like I say, like with the book, like, you know, what you're guilty of, but that's okay, you're allowed to be, which is filling in the gaps between the stories. You know, like anyone who watches your stuff then reads the book, they're like, oh, whoa, there's a lot more in the Batfeed's storytelling. And because, yeah, well, that's Batfeed's version of what I presented, because he filled in the gaps based on his research and the way he felt the story should flow, which is great. That's what I say to everybody. Like real history, it's up to, you know, interpretation, you know, subjective. So that's what this tactile thing is meant to be, you know. And this is why I love this form of like storytelling of history, is that when we apply it to like this stuff, we know what we think happened, but there's so much more room to expand on the stories. You know, like everyone keeps going, where's Killer Moth? Where's Firefly? Where's, you know, Kite Man? And I'm like, fuck you, Harley Quinn Adventures. But in saying that, I actually really like Kite Man. But in saying that, they're all going to be in the next version. Not to say they weren't already in that universe. It's just how many pages, you know, like I put it to everybody. I said, guys, if I add these characters, the book's going to be more expensive because more pages, and it's going to be, and like adding another 10 pages pushes us up into the next weight category of shipping. So it adds like another $10 to your shipping, you know? So I'm trying to figure out ways how we can meet halfway. And a big way of doing that is by printing the books in bulk. Like if I can print the books in $15,000, like 15,000 orders, I can get them a lot cheaper than what I could what I was doing previously. Mm-hmm. Now, if that's the case, then I can sell them a lot cheaper. But that also brings us back to why I'm doing this show. Because, you know, if we can do a full run and actually get really good numbers, that's like another 80,000 to 100,000 people who know about the book.
Yeah. Yeah, and back to your earlier point too, I don't know for you guys watching, but definitely for me, because I've heard some people talk about this, is just the attention to detail in the book, and what sounds like is going to be the artifacts box, which sounds awesome. I can't wait for that. All of that is going to be just, you know, I'm just so excited for this show for that exact same reason. Like you got kind of, it's not like Russell said, it's not going to be the characters that are in the book. It's going to be people representing them in that time period, so to speak. But it's like still going to be, you know, the costumes, the feel, I'm really excited to see all of that.
It's gonna be sexy, cool, like rock and roll sexy, not like gratuitous or anything like that.
Yeah.
But like, you know, you name a character, like the main big ones we have, Catwoman, obviously, the Riddler, Harley Quinn, Scarecrow,
yeah.
Penguin, Joker, Two-Face, Mr. Freeze, Batman and Robin. Yeah, we got all the big heavy hitters, you know. There's some characters we're not going to be using, like Bane and all that kind of stuff, but most of the characters are in there. And if anyone goes, where's Nightwing? It's important first to, like, Nightwing wouldn't probably be on stage if you think about it. It would be the ones from the headlines, you know what I mean? Like the archetypes when they say this, you know, the Cape Crusader and the Boy Wonder, you know, dynamic duo. So that's what you got to remember. It is a review show. So the show, yeah, it's a love letter to all things vaudeville, burlesque, showgirl kind of shows, circus, but also golden age of cinema, because like a quarter of the shows is all projected. And then Batman, you know, that's the thing. What is the thing that goes over everything? But people don't see this show these type of shows anymore. Stuff with like big sets and big props and, you know, things like that. You know, and I also want to make it feel very contemporary, even though it looked and felt like from a bygone era. You know, because a lot of people haven't seen this stuff before. It's one thing saying Bugsby Berkeley. I don't know if you guys know when I say Bugsby Berkeley who I mean, but he was the first kind of screen choreographer who made his choreography with a camera in mind, you know? So he'd do all these big elaborate dance numbers, and, you know, you would have seen a version of this done. They've parodied it so many times and redone it over and over. But he was known for these big sweeping studio ones where you have like 200 dancers all dancing, and they'll be doing all these geometric patterns, but he would make it so the camera was above shooting down. So, you know, that's the only place you can actually see the choreography, because if you watched it from any other angle, it'd be shit, you know? So we want to recreate elements of that, you know? We want to, like, bring a bit of that magic of Hollywood, because at the end of the day, Hollywood is shit, you know? Like, if you go to Hollywood, and trust me, I'm not saying anything no one else says, but Hollywood is no longer the Hollywood what we all had in our heads. It hasn't been for decades or even longer. But as an Australian, growing up on American content since I was born, going to LA in my head was Hollywood, you know? So first time I went there when I was like 21, I stayed in a motel in Hollywood, you know, and it was shit because it was just like, you know, people trying to push CDs and on drugs everywhere, and there was prostitutes and all that. Now it's still changed a lot more now, but it's still not what you think of, you know? There's no one making anything there. It's all just trying to make money off things rather than actually making things, if that makes sense. And, you know, we're at the Montalban Theatre. It's been there for since the 1920s, you know, that theatre. And it's, you know, it's named after Ricardo Montalban, if all the geeks out there might know him as Khan from Star Trek 2, or Fantasy Island, you know. But he bought that back in the day, and he wanted to bring like creativity back to Hollywood, you know, because I'm referencing when I'm talking to my cast through the workshops, I'm referencing like Gene Kelly and, you know, Sid Cerise and Debbie Reynolds and Fred Astaire and all these amazing performers who back then it wasn't enough. Like the bare minimum to be in a movie back then, you had to be able to sing, dance, do comedy, act, look good doing it, and work until, you know, you're willing to die. It's kind of dead, you know. We're living in a shadow of what it used to be. You know, we're not even talking about that many years ago. But I think everyone's not excited about films, you know, at the moment. Like, don't get me wrong, I went and saw Doom this week, Doom Part 2. And that was the first film I was excited to see in the movies in a long time.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I actually found it kind of boring. I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but I'm a big fan of the books. And
that's fair.
It's just, I wanted to be a bit weirder, you know? It was a bit too straight for me. I was like, it could have been really weird and out there and crazy. But it's still very enjoyable. It was just, you know, I found it like I put it in the same category as the Batman, where a lot of people are gonna like it, and hey, on so many levels, I respect and like it. But at the end of the day, I also kind of go, it's kind of boring, you know.
Yeah.
Like I never had my Braveheart moment where it's like, you know, there was these dynamics. I'm like, I really want to see this battle. I really want to feel like I'm amongst it, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. But like, I had this press release the other week in LA, kind of like this media event where I invited people down, just trying to explain what we're trying to do with the Monster Bar and what we're trying to do with the show and why it's the first show. And I said, you know, Hollywood has been they just are feeding our nostalgia back to us, and it's at that point now they're force feeding us. I feel like I'm strapped into a chair. I'm like, I can't eat anymore, and they just keep force feeding me, and I've really gone off it. You know, no, I just don't care about anything. And I go, why don't I care? Why don't I care about this stuff? I love movies. That's what I grew up on, and that's what you know. Storytelling's my jam. I'm like, why don't I care? I'm going, well, they fucking made me not care, and it's because we used to go to these churches of light and sound, what we called cinemas. You know, we used to look at these like artwork which had to encapsulate a whole movie and get us excited to go in there, and there was real true art on display with those, not just floating heads on a thumbnail. You know, we used to watch these gods that were 40 foot tall, but now we also follow their every fucking move every time they have a bowel movement or something like that, and as soon as they lose any kind of interest, they start an OnlyFans account or whatnot, you know. But like, we're degrading the gods we used to worship on screen, you know, and like, not saying they're perfect as actors are not, but we don't need to hear about their thoughts of what they think about what's happening in the world, unless they inspire us to listen to them. And not enough of them are inspiring us because they don't have a unique voice. They're not authentic. So why do we want to listen to them when they preach, you know, bullshit? It's like, no, guys, get back to making good art. You know, we used to use words like that. Art, you know, passion. We used to make movies and music. Now we make content. Yeah. You know? And those gods, what we used to worship, are now called celebrities and influencers. You know, it's just soulless. And you know, we used to watch movies with would open with fanfare, or lions roaring, or Pegasus running to the screen. What do we have now? Du-dum. You know, like, and the thing, what we used to, you know, we used to present it on these giant screens, the ultimate format, how to watch it. Now we watch it on the same thing we watch porn on. You know. When you degrade the format, mentally people just go, it's not that important anymore, you know. And when you force people to consume content all the time, like, a big difference is when we went from going online. You used to go online, you know. Now you're never not offline, you know. And the weird thing about like social media these days, and if this is getting too off the topic, bring me back in line, but like, the big thing of social media, like especially TikTok and things like that, is that access a certain part of your brain which just keeps you engaged enough but not actually motivated enough to actually do anything with it. So it goes back to our old hunting, kind of the way our brains work with hunting, which is the biggest adrenaline kind of hit you'll get, or not adrenaline but dopamine hit you'll get, like the biggest one naturally, is the near miss. You know, and when I say near miss, I generally mean it like, it's like, it ties back to when we used to go hunting and we used to see like, oh, we're going to go and get this stag or whatever, and you almost got it, but then you missed. You need that hit of dopamine and adrenaline to make you try again, you know? But then when you get that, it's not going to be as high. You know, it's the same if you're like skateboarders or athletes. Anytime they need to nail a trick, it's the dopamine what you get from almost getting it. But when you nail it, you move on for the next challenge. And that tied into collecting comics, collecting records, you know, all this stuff. It was like the hunt was a big part of it, you know, or even getting excited about movies and stuff. We used to have to read it in magazines, or, you know, dribs and drabs of information. So we used to collect all that, you know. All this stuff was part of what kind of made the dopamine work in our heads and kind of kept us linked. Now we have everything at our fingertips. We don't have that chase, but we've put that chase over to what's the next video going to be on the scroll. You you know, and it's just enough to keep you engaged, but not enough to motivate, which is a very dangerous kind of way for your brain status to kind of being this kind of treading water kind of thing. And I suppose long story short, with the stuff I'm making, I want to kind of break us out of that, you know, and that's why I sometimes get annoyed when people kind of go, you know, what's still happening? You still doing this? I'm like, I'm always doing this. I work on probably 10, 15 projects at once. I don't always release updates. I have the best intentions, but if you want good stuff, it's not like the status quo and not just content. Sometimes it just takes a little time. Like, I'm self-funded, guys. You know, I try my best, but like, I'm also got a massive big ADHD, mental illness, dyslexia and shit. So if I'll be like really motivated, go, yeah, I've got to get this book out. And I'll be like, oh, wow, a blue car. And then I'll go and chase that.
Yeah, I mean,
that
told me at the start of the video, I had to look at the book, not because I'd forgotten the name of your company, but because I'd forgotten what I was talking about. You know,
I think everyone has a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. But back to your earlier point too about like going to the theater. Even it's such an investment now, too, for a lot of people. Like, this is just my own personal opinion, but I haven't been to the theater in ages because I don't always want to invest the amount of money it takes to buy a ticket into going to see something that I don't care as much about.
Our cheapest tickets starts at $39. Yeah. You know, and we're doing that. I'm like, hey guys, good luck trying to go and get the Uber Eats for that.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm serious. Like we're gonna definitely provide value for money with everything we do, but for sure, the main thing for me is like, and that scales up. Don't get me wrong. If you want the front seat, you want, you know, a photo with the Joker at the end of the show and all that, that's probably about 120. But there's a seat for everybody.
Yeah.
I should also warn people. I don't know if I haven't heard from Lux in a while, but like I know some of your audience are a little bit on the younger side. I don't know how old he is these days, but generally speaking, I have to let everyone know this is an 18+ show I'll be presenting. Like, there's nothing too full on in it. Like, it's not too gratuitous or anything, but just the content is pretty, you know, all over the shop as far as the way I like presenting it. I like being a bit raunchy, a bit naughty, and like a lot of swearing, a lot of like blood and guts and all that kind of stuff's all in there as well. So it is 18+, which I know a lot of the fans are going to be upset about. But the good news is, if it's successful, it'll play for a few years and you can grow into it and, you know, come back when you're of age. But it's going to be a unique show. Like, I guarantee that it will bring everything together. And yeah, instead of seeing it as like a version of the book, it's the extension of the book, or like a little side story. This is kind of like my Marvel shorts. You know, like, they exist in the continuity, but it's a different format and a different storytelling device. But yeah, that's the thing. I can probably show you a couple of things if you want to see some images.
I'd love to, yeah, and I'm sure everyone else would too.
All right, I have to be careful. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to look at my photos and just see what I can show you.
I'll tell all of you guys, I will most definitely be going to this show. I'm probably going to vlog a lot of it, so you guys will get to see kind of that journey. I'll probably try to collab with, I know I've talked to some creators already about going to see the show, and possibly also just meeting up to do some kind of collaboration, so keep an eye out for that. But it's very exciting. There's a lot of good stuff coming your way. Kind of similarly to Russell's point too, you know, a lot of you probably noticed that my release schedule's been kind of haphazard. There's a lot of, you know, stuff going on in my personal life for sure, but also I'm just trying to take time, trying to put as much effort into each project as much as I can. Just want to make the best content, not content, but
exactly. I know what you're saying.
You know, yeah.
We try really hard not to use those words, but yeah, content and things. And you know, like, you guys also have to appreciate what Batfeed here does. Like, it's not easy doing all this stuff, and you know, it's hard for him also because, you know, he gets messages from me every once in a while where I'll be like, I don't like that, change it, you know. So he's still trying to be an artist for himself, but still kind of honor what my brief is a lot of the time as well. And you know, it's not always easy. So
definitely,
yeah, I think everyone is very appreciative of what you do, though, man. So I you know, like I said to you a while back, you should definitely, you need to take time and make seasons almost, like, so you can have a break from it, you know. But guys, enjoy it, because like Batfeed will probably, you know, you probably keep doing this, and I know he's taking out for new content, books and stuff as well. I think, but like, you know, appreciate it while you've got it, because you don't know how long we're allowed to do this stuff before, you know, something happens or whatever. You know, it could be a thing that we get too busy also. You know? Anyway, I've got things I can add. Are you ready for some photos?
I am so ready.
All right, I can't show too much because, you know, I'll be giving too much away, but I'll show you some, definitely. Okay, coming 3, 2, 1, and yay! So, this here is, these are what I'm putting, I don't know if many people know this, but these are what you call foot lamps. And these used to be very popular, well, not very popular, they were essential back in old school theatres, where they would run, where they used to have, before they had electricity, they had gas, what they would run. And so all these would have, or they would have like, you know, actual lights, like kerosene lights, and that would cover them, but the inside would be reflective. So it would light them, and that way all the performers would be lit from below as well, and it would be a way to light up the performance. Now, they're not really used anymore these days. You might see them as like little shells or something like that in old school theaters, and more movies than anything. But I would definitely wanted them, and I wanted a classy kind of bat feel to them all. You know, so they're all lights. I've got 8 of those, and they'll be going down the front of the theater stage. This is our logo for the main one. We'll be getting this made merch. We'll have this as pins, what you can buy, but also like tie pins and everything. And then we'll be making this as our big kind of feature light display on stage, which will be about 15 foot wide. That was one of the first ones that I saw, and I got very excited about it. Well, this is Catwoman's lounge. Ah, okay. So couch. Has this made an appearance in the book? No, I only made this. Remembering things. No, I made this about a week ago. Okay, never mind. But you get the idea of where I say it's sexy. Like when you see that, you go, yeah, I can see that's Catwoman. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, this is just some of the promo images. Now, this is a new show, so a lot of these costumes, not like these costumes. This one's pretty similar to what you see in the show. So there's going to be 8 of these girls on stage at once. Wow. Okay, that's kind of cool. How the negative space on the dress is like a bat symbol. Yeah. And then this is my Poison Ivy. Oh yeah. Again, these are just promo. These are the actual performers. I had to just shoot these just to kind of sell them some ideas and try and get the concept through, because I couldn't use too many images from the book because it's so straight. You know, the book. I need to sell some kind of, you know, a bit more showbiz and excitement with this one. So that one kind of just gets across this kind of like dominate, I don't know, this kind of power exchange kind of pseudo S&M kind of vintage vibe. So, you know, really it kind of sells it the way I want it. When I saw this one, I really like it because, again, back to the attention to detail thing. Like you see this cowl on Batman in the book a lot, but it's usually from a head-on perspective. And I just assumed for like most of the time looking through the book that it was like a solid helmet piece, but no, there's actually like ties on the back of it. Well, the thing is, it's like a luchador mask. Right. Yeah. Have you ever seen those? So it's loosened, you put it back on, but then you pull the laces, and that's when it tightens up. So it's actually really quick. You don't actually have to put them in one by one. You just have to tighten it up once it's on. Okay, that makes sense. It's like shoelaces, exactly the same as shoelaces. Yeah. But like this is the detailing what a lot of people don't usually see. Like the stitching is actually bat shapes. Now the Batman costume is very different in the show. Sure. It's not this. So I don't want to give too much away, but my Batman costume is kind of made, half of it, of the cape is made out of crocodile skin, black crocodile skin. That's cool. Well, like I said, I want to be more fashion inspired. Oh yeah. Now this is the original costume we have in the book of the Scarecrow. The one I have in the show is a bit different. I can probably show you that actually. Yeah, sure. Because I've already shown you, but I'm not going to show you. I'll show you the one when it's finished with all the lighting in it and everything. All right, I'm not going to show that one, but I'll show like the differences. But this is because I didn't have any new costumes made at this stage, so this is the one from the book.
Yeah.
But it still sells it, you know, because you guys probably never saw it in color, you know.
Yeah.
And you can actually see the difference of like how it's actually made out of old corn bags.
Yep.
So it says Gotham Golden Corn, and it's like he actually got like the Hessian bags and made a suit out of it.
Yeah, I remember researching for that as well, and it was.
That's just me. That's like this photo.
That's cursed. I'm sorry, I have to say it. The baby head.
It's what? You don't like it?
It's cursed. Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, I want to be provocative with all this stuff when I was coming over, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just do something crazy.
That's a great.
And my publicist really didn't want me to go out with that, and I was like, why? And she goes, you know, the whole Hollywood might be perceived the wrong way. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I said, I don't work in the industry, you know, and I said, that's authentically me. I'm a weird guy. That's who I am. So, you know, I just think it's a hilarious. I really enjoy that photo. I like the colors.
It's a fantastic photo. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
And when I saw it, I've just gone, I'm going to chuck it in here. It's got nothing to do with me talking about the show, but anyway, there you go.
Yeah.
So these are the fans. So each girl's got 2 of these. So we've got 16 of these on stage at the same time.
That's so cool. Ooh, yeah.
This hasn't got any of the light. None of the lights have been put in this one yet. But this is there's a lot going on with this Mr. Freeze costume.
I'm sure. You can see the goggles down there too. That's pretty cool.
One of many. Yeah, we've got a few different types what we're trying out.
Is this the same model that you guys used in the book, or is it a separate one?
Well, this is brand new.
Brand new. Gotcha.
Yeah. So it'll have all lights in there. It'll have that helmet comes off pretty easy.
Cool. Okay.
It's just connected by magnets. I haven't put all the gauges on it yet because they all have to be wired in because they all light up. The back of it's actually on the back. You can't see it in this image, but on the back, you have all these like pumps and fans and everything. So they all move. They all like pumping like chukka 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 and like fan going around and all that. And that has all smoke and steam coming out from all these like areas on it as well. But yeah, and then he has this big cryogenic tank. What he has Nora, his wife, is in. And that's our version of the Joker in the show.
Yeah. And
2 of his backup girls.
I absolutely love the addition of the sunglasses.
Yeah, well, the main thing on this one is we want to give him a bit more of a kind of gangster, hip kind of vibe. You know, like cool, make him cool. You know?
Certainly.
And a big vibe of that was like, you know, I always loved, you know, Bram Stoker's Dracula, where Gary Oldman plays Dracula. And there's a few where he just wears the sunglasses, and it's just like, oh, fuck, he's cool.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, the Joker in the book is the personament of this crazy homicidal maniac. This guy, he's going to sing and dance, you know? I just like, you know, his little backup dancers, the marching girls. But they've definitely got the you know, the theatre, tragedy, and comedy. Yeah. That's the 2 faces. And I don't know if you can see, you see above the eye?
The little red spot there?
Above the eye. You know what that reference is? If you don't get this, he doesn't deserve having Batfeed as the name of his channel.
Oh my god. Is it...
Let me give you a hint. Batman Returns.
Red Triangle.
Yeah!
Because, well, here's what my eye jumped to first was the hats that they're wearing look a little bit like Harley Quinn's. But I was wondering, I was like, are these artifacts from the Red Triangle gang in the Gotham 1919 universe?
Well, the thing is, it's the same helmet what we use for Harley Quinn in the book.
Fair,
as well. Yeah. So some hats. But yeah, there's a lot of detail. Like, you can't tell on this, but even on their medals there, they got like, they're painted the same way as how they painted the statues in the 89 Batman, where they go into the restaurant museum thing and they go on and redoing all the artwork and putting the green hair on them, like the lips. I've done that on the little faces of the medals and stuff.
Yeah.
No one's ever going to see that, but that's not the point. It's about creating a real life eternal history.
Oh yeah.
For the show.
That's the kind of attention to detail we were talking about.
And this was just a test photo what I was doing for this run,
Yeah.
just like for looking at different looks for Harley before I decided to go with the real classic look. But this is the girl who plays Harley in the book as
I
well.
was gonna ask her.
So
her name's Feather. Is that right?
Feather, yeah, Feather. So she plays Harley in the book, but this image will be used in one of the new books as well. But I'll treat it and everything, and so yeah, because Harley pops up a few times in all over the shop throughout the series, and then this. So I'm not going to tell you what acts that's for, but like, let's just say that's going to be a 7-foot tall baby doll.
Okay, I gotcha.
Not nightmare fuel stuff.
Yeah, I like the eye being askew the way it is.
I'll hold on. I'll see if I've got two more things I can show you, and then that'll be it. Because I don't want to give too much away, because I want people to come and actually experience it for what it's meant to be. You know.
Yeah.
But the thing about this show is, it's just like, it's hard for me to compare it to something else, because I am trying to make something really unique and original with it. And you know, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off, but I've got a few people working on it now. I'm pretty much the only person working on it. I don't even have an assistant on this one. It's just me. So I'm doing pretty much 95% of the stuff on this show. Now, as I'm getting closer, I'm hiring in more people in.
Sure. Yeah.
But you know, it's been intense. Like, I've had to do all the visas and set up a new company in the US and all this other stuff. So, you know, it's been fun. It's been interesting, but we're getting very close now. So I'm looking forward to, like, I just want to kind of get it up and get it in front of people, you know? I know it sounds weird, but like, I get really anxious until that happens. So I've got a couple of months of me being a bit more anxious. And then once it's up, I can just, you know, I can flow with it and feel good with it. And
yeah. I mean, it's not exactly the
that's just me, kind of.
Because I don't pour maybe as much money into my videos as you do with your shows. I'm going to say it definitively. I don't. But I still get nervous when I upload a video. It's like the whole, you know, you run through this whole tirade of thoughts, like, are people actually going to like it? Is it going to turn out the way that I thought it would? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's got imposter syndrome, mate.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'll show you this stuff, and then I could have shown you a lot more, but I didn't. But yeah, so this is the back of the Mr. Freeze outfit.
Oh, that looks great.
All that stuff all works, like it all pumps and moves and all that kind of stuff.
Is that like a lantern cage on the back too?
Whereabouts?
On the left side, is that a lantern cage of some kind, or is that just
the top here? Yeah, no, that was off some kind of light fixture or something.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is just found stuff what we just mixed in. So there's a close-up version of those masks,
and there's the red.
So you can see the triangle. That's for something. I can't tell which character that's for. That's our Scarecrow.
Love it.
So a little bit different.
Fun, but...
And then this is a close-up of what we'll talk about. So this is the show Russell and I presents the unauthorized and official Gotham Follies on 1939, a Dark Knight parody. And those wondering why we spelled Dark Knight like that, it's more about coming out for a dark night out.
Yeah.
And also Dark Knight with the case trademarked.
Yeah. So, that was something that I thought. When I was posting these pictures, I was like, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be spelled like that for multiple reasons.
Oh yeah. You know what I mean? You always have to cover yourself bases.
Oh yeah.
There's another version of the Scarecrow.
Oh, that's like a rubber hose style, like cartooning almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how's that going to be used, I wonder? Ooh.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited.
I'm being very ambitious with this show.
It's super exciting, guys. I've just been like, every time Russell sends me a behind the scenes photo, I've been on my toes, just like really excited for it. So if you're able to make it out, I would definitely recommend.
Yeah, I wish I could say that we were going to see everybody, but you know, when you do travel to other places, there's a lot of compromise you have to do. You know, and I kind of say to people, don't treat this as a theatre show or an event or anything like that. Treat it more like an art installation.
Yeah.
You know, because it's working on multiple levels. It's like, you know, how many times will I be able to have Anthony, who plays the Joker, come and play in this capacity.
Yeah.
Like maybe a couple of runs before we'll have to get someone who's American based to do it properly, you know, because he can't come over for it indefinitely. So this is what I mean. I don't know if I want to run it much more if that's the case. So working on this level where he's tied into the book and everything, like, trust me, I could have cast someone for the Joker locally and it would have saved me so much more money.
Yeah.
But then I'm just doing something what everyone else could do. You know, I'm trying to tell a story on a new way of telling stories and stuff. You know, I'm trying to go against the status quo of like AI and all that stuff where we're just making stuff. It's hard to say, but like if LA's full of people who are super creative, super professional, and everything like that. But the problem is, it's also a town of gatekeepers, and only freedom can come when you have independence. And independence is linked to this, or this one is linked to the fact that I can have my audience support the show. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the big thing I'm like trying to do at the moment with that independence is like keeping the authenticity in the show. And like that's the thing that's going to make it work. Now that can only work for a limited where I have control and all that kind of stuff. So these are going to be very limited engaged things, and I'm not doing it solely for the money, because if I was, I wouldn't be doing the things I'm doing in this show, because I'm wasting a lot of money on concepts, you know, like bringing out the guy who plays the Joker in the book, or tracking down people from the book who I haven't spoken to in 12 years, just so they could play that character in a scene, you know? And it's just trying to do something new, you know, and something on a different level, because like I said, that town is full of so many amazing creative people who can just come in and just fucking knock it out of the park. But the problem is when you're really good at being good, it's sometimes hard to be great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're being hired just to be amazing at what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But being great is more than that. It's about taking chances. It's about sacrifice. It's about all this other stuff, and like putting out there, this might not work, you know? But that's the thing that's going to make it great, you know, is taking these big swings. And the problem these days is everyone plays it way too safe or way too boring, you know? And we live in an age where more and more stuff is going to be made off previous work. So it's going to feel very repetitive. It's going to be super polished all the time. And everything's going to be so slick and easy and easy and easier. So we're going to want to really take big swings with authenticity, you know, trying to bring that back into our art and whatnot. And this is my little way of trying to do that. You know, you've seen in my books before, you've seen in my films, you've seen all that kind of stuff. It's a process for me. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to nail it exactly the way I want it to, but it's going to be a fun little journey, which I'm hoping you and all your audience, what we've, you know, built with the book and through your channel and all that kind of stuff, can try and make it over at some point, because, you know, I am creating this show for you guys foremost. Like, I want a lot more people to come and be introduced to the concept in the world, but the people who are going to get a kick out of it and who are going to get really excited about it are the people who have been following these stories for the last few years.
Yeah, and I'm going to put the link to that website for the show up both in the description and probably right here in the video. But go check that out, guys. If it's something you're able to do, definitely would recommend. I'll also link the book just like I usually do. That way you can take a look if you want. And like Russell said, there's going to be opportunities for anybody who is at the show to purchase your own. Definitely worth grabbing.
Much cheaper.
Yeah. But yeah, Russell, thank you so much.
Yeah, guys, this
so excited.
No, it's always a pleasure jumping on. I just thought, because we're going back and forth, I just thought, fuck it, let's just have a quick chat.
Yeah.
I'll be dropping a lot more stuff over the coming months, obviously. So join up at Instagram, things like that. Mm-hmm. More and more stuff coming on your way. We're probably doing giveaways and all that stuff. If you can't afford a ticket, probably do some giveaways closer to the date to shows and all that kind of thing. So, and I'll probably do some through Batfeed as well, and whatnot. So we'll work all that shit out. You know, I'm pretty generous with giveaways. I always have been with the book and whatnot. But yeah, guys, if you're into Batman and you want, but like looking for something unique and a different take, even different take to what we did in the book, this is a show for you.
Hell yeah. All right. Well.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah.